Welcome to the Bobby Moore Stand. My name's Gary, and this is a daily news show. It's cold in the shed, so I've had to wrap up a bit warm. Feeling a bit ill, but anyway, and it's not West Ham that's making me feel ill, strangely enough. But a big story today, and it's a load of link stories really, and it's will he or won't he, and that is, will Lopetegui be going at the weekend? Will he be sacked on Saturday, irrespective of the result? It's a big question. What's the latest in the media? There's a lot of it out there, so let me try and link those stories up. Before we go there, though, if you enjoy our shows, please could you subscribe to the channel, the Bobby Moore Stand, here on YouTube. Give the video a like and hit the bell notification icon. Not necessarily in that order. Thank you very much. It helps the channel a lot. So look, the reason I made the video yesterday about focusing on David Sullivan was to just do a brain dump about where he screwed up. And I think it's true to say, he's screwed up a lot over the years. He continues to screw up now as well by sitting on his hands and doing the usual, stuff like we're behind the manager. I mean, we've seen it so many times before. It's just boring now. I don't know if he thinks we believe it, but hey, there you go. Probably does. He thinks we're thick. But the reason I did it as well is because when he does fire Lopetegui, the next thing he'll do in the next breath is he'll blame the fans for wanting Lopetegui. We didn't want Lopetegui. We didn't want Pellegrini either, but he said we wanted him. We demanded him. No, not true, David. You wanted Lopetegui. Nobody else did. You kind of used the media to convince people they wanted him, and it kind of worked. I mean, most of us, just a bit pragmatic, we just sort of accepted it and thought, better give him a go, I suppose. But I gave him 10 games, as did most people. Right, so since yesterday, there have been many reports. Number one, he's going on Saturday regardless, which is something I suggested we should do on Monday. Still believe that. Number two is that we need to lose to Everton on Saturday for him to go. Another one said a draw or a loss, if we fail to beat Everton. Jacob Steinberg has come out meanwhile and said, no, none of that's true. He's staying. The ball are firmly behind the manager. And Jacob Steinberg's one of those bald mouthpieces, right? So I don't know what to believe other than if we were to get beat by Everton, I don't think there's any way he can stay whatsoever. It would be ridiculous if he does. But then again, unless we're in danger of getting relegated, and we're not getting relegated anytime soon, it's too early for that. Sullivan will sit on his hands. He will. I feel almost confident of predicting that. Now, as for who replaces him when he eventually goes, because he'll definitely go, there's a long list of freebie failures it's getting longer and longer. We started off with Edin Terzic, the German pragmatist who's going to bore the bejesus out of us. We've got Graham Harry Potter, as the Chelsea players branded him. They've been joined by, guess who? None other than Frank Lampard Jr. Now, I don't have a problem with Frank Lampard. You might remember that when I went to an away game last year, I actually had a chat with Frank, who was walking his dog in a local pub. He lives in a very luxurious part of town. He's a nice enough bloke and all that, but I just don't think he's a big enough character to manage West Ham. And, what makes anyone think that if Potter couldn't handle the heat at Chelsea, and Lampard, who was loved at Chelsea, couldn't handle the heat there either and screwed up monumentally, what makes anyone think that either of those two managers are suitable for West Ham? Because I frankly don't buy it. I don't buy it at all. Because I would buy it if I would buy Potter if he was going into a director of football situation. But as I'll come to that in a minute, this is not a proper director of football situation. This is a David Sullivan created director of football situation. It's not real, right? It's fake. So, maybe David Sullivan is having a flashback and he thinks, in the same way he once thought Avram Grant, Chelsea reject, was suitable to manage West Ham. Maybe he's thinking the same now. Maybe another Chelsea reject to be a good thing, get us properly relegated. Yeah. As for Julen Lopetegui, superstar, he sees a writing on the wall, clearly. He's been busy blaming Tim Steiten for signing a German, a not a very good German, and a not ready for use Brazilian. He's very, very disappointed with Steiten's performance. At least that's what's being said to the press. I don't know whether this has come from Lopetegui himself or whether this is coming from the club, because it's hot off the back of another story, which is, I think Steiten will be off in the summer. Now, if you remember back to when Steiten was being linked with the Liverpool job, when we were all panicking, I think that was less Steiten and more the club trying to move him on, because I think there's a definite power struggle going on behind the scenes there. Power struggle between Lopetegui, who is clearly Sullivan's boy, and Steiten, who is Kretinsky's boy. So there's a big boardroom struggle going on at the moment. Steiten's not helped himself by, instead of buying a nippy little Porsche, he's bought a clapped out old Audi with loads of miles on the clock and a questionable service history. But it is convenient for Lopetegui to, misdirect. It's all his fault. I personally don't believe that a striker would have made some difference, obviously. Wouldn't have made that much difference because we're just wide open at the back. So what's that going to do? We might have scored a couple more goals. We'll still let her load in. If anything, we'll make the other teams more angry by scoring against them. You know what I mean? I know that's my thing. So it is convenient for him. It's convenient for Sullivan as well to put these rumours out there. Suggest Steiten will be sacrificed in the summer because of his two mistakes, which are absolutely the cause of Julen Lopetegui's abject failure at West Ham. No, it's a minor contributing factor. It ain't the cause. It ain't the root cause. So I don't know who's putting that bullshit out there, but I suspect it's not Steiten. I suspect Steiten don't even know about his imminent departure in the summer. Um, and I'm sure he'll hit back in the press like he often does. Sullivan just wants his Kretinsky's spy out of the way. Personally, I'm not really that bothered now because, and I'll tell you why, is that I'm bored with Tim. He has made a fuck up in two places in the transfer window. I don't think it's responsible for the demise of Julen Lopetegui. I think is a very, very minor contributing factor. But as it stands, Tim is a powerless director of football. And a powerless director of football is not a director of football, right? He's just a person who helps with recruitment when he's allowed to. You remember the Calvin Phillips signing? That was when Steiten was just basically told by Sullivan, "But I'm signing who the fuck I want," right? And that was really, kind of cuckolded in a way. Sullivan has made it his personal project to undermine Steiten since he's been here. Let's be clear. Gave him no power whatsoever. He basically had to work with a manager he had no say over, and he's now got another one in Lopetegui. Clearly, yeah, he's taken the job as a coach. He didn't mean that, did he? Still thinks he's a manager. But again, Steiten has himself to blame over signing the fucking diabolical Fulkrug. What was he thinking? I know he's a friend. I know he knows him, but fucking hell, when reputation is everything, like it is a director of football, you can't do stuff like that. On the upside, he did sign Kudus, Alvarez, Todibo, three very unlikely signings for West Ham. I'm sure you'll agree. So he does have his pulling power, but that's going to be greatly diminished. And the worst thing is, we're now becoming probably a very unattractive destination for good players. That we were a very attractive destination all the way up until this summer. I suspect many of them are already be speaking to their agents. We've moved from one dullard manager to another, and the latest one's actually a downgrade on the previous one. Never would have thought that was possible, but it would not surprise me if most of our functional to good players want out, and they're putting on the moves to make that happen. I think I would if my career was at stake. Wouldn't you? I mean, this takes me back to the point of the show, and that is, once the rot sets in, and the rot is well and truly set in at this club, it's difficult to cure that rot. If the players are not engaged at the club and don't believe in what we're trying to do, they all have options, especially the good ones. They'll try and force a move, and they will force a move, right? You can't force a player to play for you. And it's fine if it's one or two, but it could be en masse. And I don't know about you, but do you really feel like another mass rebuilding exercise this summer, this time without Steiten? Not keen on it personally. I mean, when you look at it, the whole picture, Sullivan has overseen the full and rapid demise of West Ham from that evening in Prague. You know, far from being the attractive destination we once were for top talent, we're now, you know, we're not going to be able to attract these players for love nor money. We'll be seen as a club to avoid because we're kind of the sick man of England at the moment. People are laughing at us. They're laughing at our footballing style. You've even got David Moyes coming out and saying, give Lopetegui more time. David Moyes, who flipped out when Stein was talking to other managers, he said it was unprofessional to talk to other managers while he was still in post, even though he did it when Bilic was still in post. Who knows? He might be doing it now. But, you know, it might be a classic diversion tactic. Balled in fighting, director of football not communicating with a manager, the chairman just running his mouth off and stirring the pot in the press, you know, blame, culture, his fault, his fault. This fall from European champions to also rounds has been a real feat of fucking everything up and a tribute to the total leadership of David Sullivan. He excelled himself this time. It's a magnificent demise. Well done. I mean, just hang around for a few weeks and see which of the available freebies he opts for, because whoever it is, I'm sure will be very disappointed with it. I just hope they have a fucking good honeymoon period, because if they don't, then we can find ourselves at the end of this season in a proper relegation struggle. You know, just get a few wins before their true lack of talent comes shining through. Anyway, that's me done. Another depressing show, but hey, it's what I do. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please give this video a like. Subscribe to the channel as well, please. That really helps us. The Bobby Moore Stand here on YouTube. Hit the bell notification icon as well. This is definitely a subject that's just going to run and run. But anyway, until next time, see you soon. Get 'em on your irons.